All right, Peace Ingredients YouTubers. So, American Soul. I have to say, I am very intrigued by everything I've seen so far. I am definitely down for the ride to follow this full series because it seems like there's going to be a lot that they uncover. And so I am totally down with that. Initially, I didn't know what to think when I found out that they were going to be doing this series. You know, I didn't know if it was going to be solely on just Don Cornelius or if it was going to be centered around the show. But it's like somehow they're going to put everything and just make it come together full circle. So not only are they focusing on Don Cornelius and his experience, but I mean, they're going to dig into the lives of some of the dancers and pretty much everybody associated with the show, from, you know, the producers and the execs and the other entertainers who were on the show, the relatives of the people who are in association with the show. So I'm like, okay, it's going full circle. And I think, you know, I always say, like, biopics and different series that come out like this, you know, they're always important in my opinion if they're well done, because they introduce and reintroduce to audiences, you know, the accomplishments and the accolades and just pretty much all of the great contributions that different entertainers and movements and acts, you know, contribute to society. And so I always say, without those series like, you know, Jackson 5 American Dream or the Temptation series or the biopic like What's Love Got to Do with It or a movie like Ray, you know, sometimes legacies can sometimes be forgotten to an extent. You still remember how great people are, but when like things like a movie or something comes out, it's like it re-energizes and it gets people familiar again. And then new audiences who were not around to experience that era now have insight to what it was like during that time. You know, for me, like, I would have never known anything about the Jackson 5 minus a few songs here and there until I saw, you know, the series as a little kid. Or the same thing with the Temptations, or, you know, even them kids I work with. When that TLC biopic came out, oh, they can tell you all about TLC now. I mean, back in the day, they might have known a song like No Scrubs, maybe, and that was it. And then, you know, that movie came out, and so now all of them can probably tell you everything about them and then some. That's the cool thing about a biopic or a series, especially if it's well put together. Like this New Edition one, too. You've definitely seen the influx of younger children who are really all into New Edition. Like, how many, like, clips have you seen where there's a little talent show at the school and you got 5 boys, like, all day? You know what I mean? So it's always great that these things happen. But I think what I like is that it's a great way to showcase how impactful a show like Soul Train was during its heyday, especially in the 70s. You know what I mean? This is a time period where a lot of black acts were still not getting the same exposure when it came to media, as far as, you know, promotion and marketing. And mind you, this is before MTV. This is before cable. So a lot of times during that time, sometimes people didn't even know what certain entertainers looked like because some of them would never make it on TV. You know, to get on something like Ed Sullivan or get on something like American Bandstand, you had to be the biggest and biggest of the biggest acts when it came to being black entertainers just to get on that set. So if you were somebody who was bubbling under and had a respectable, moderate R&B hit and it was regional to Chicago, Detroit, and the Ohio area, most of the rest of the country didn't really know who you were. So you had a lot of people who were going out and touring and serving as imposters, pretending to be other entertainers, and nobody would know because they had never seen them on TV before. A show like Soul Train was a great way to introduce audiences to the faces of the sound that they were hearing coming out of the radio. You know what I mean? To hear and put faces to the sound of the music that their parents were playing when it was time to clean up on Saturday or Sunday mornings. Or put a face to the sound of the music that was being played at the neighborhood cookouts and everything like that. And I think Soul Train served a pivotal level of importance when it came to just really helping to boost and launch careers. Like, I love that they have Gladys Knight and the Pips in the mix on here, because Gladys Knight and the Pips were already a moderately big act before Soul Train. Like, their first record came out in like 58, didn't really do as much, and then, you know, they had a few hits in the 60s, and then, you know, they kind of struck big with Heard It Through the Grapevine, but they still were on their way, in my opinion. You know, there were some great songs before 1971. Like, I think if I had a favorite, I think I liked Everybody Needs Love, or Everybody Needs Love. Yeah. So you wanna be loved. Like, I like that song. But it was like, when you look at those big monster, Midnight Train to Georgia, Neither One of Us, Gotta Use My Imagination, all that, those all came after 1971, which is also the same year the Soul Train came out. And so, you know, with a show like Soul Train, it just helped to put people on larger platforms, because this is before cable. This is back when you only had a handful of channels. So when something was on, you had millions of people watching. You know, today, you know, we have tons and tons and tons of channels to watch. You can go to Netflix if you don't want to do cable. You can go to Hulu if you don't want to do cable. You can go to Amazon Prime if you don't want to do cable. You can go to YouTube if you don't want to do cable. Like, there's so many outlets to watch and be entertained. But back in the day, there were only so many options. So a show like Soul Train was a huge platform for black entertainers to just get on there and give it their all. And of course, in addition, you had all the latest dance moves and everything that people were trying to mimic and go back and do at school the next day and do with the parties and at the clubs. And it was just like a celebration of just black excellence where everybody was free and liberated, at least in that moment. For that moment with those songs that were playing, never mind what was going on outside in the real world, never mind what was going on as far as everything when it comes to all the oppressions that were happening to groups of people and all of that. And this is right at the peak of the whole busing thing, as far as busing the kids off to the different schools and trying to integrate the schools, because people still weren't trying to integrate. Like, all that was going on. But for that 1 hour or that 30 minutes that people were watching, boom, here's that moment where you can just feel a little free and have a good time. And the cool thing about Soul Train was that it was all age groups. You had older people watching it, you had the kids watching it. It was really, really dope. I think with the series so far, what I really like is they've done a great job with the costuming. Whoever the set design and the costume people are, they have it down. Like, if you go and you look at just from the trailer that you saw and from the performances that they had, everything is extremely accurate. The performance they had with Gladys Knight and the Pips, where they're doing Friendship Train to Love, they literally have the exact outfit. The yellow, if you look at the Pips, it's the same thing. That performance is on YouTube. It's the same episode from when Gladys Knight and the Pips also do You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. And so, they have it down. When I was looking at the trailer of what was coming out with the rest of the series, you can see the clip of the Ike and Tina Turner review, and it's that episode where Ike and Tina, they do I Want to Take You Higher. But the outfit they have on, Tina has that green, blackish, blue, I guess you call it a romper jumpsuit thing, where she has the boots and legs out. I was like, oh, okay. Whoever is set design and costume design, they did their research. Like, they have this down. So this just ain't gonna be any kind of nonsense. They're really going all about it. And I love that the series looks like they're gonna tackle a bunch of different issues that were going on at the time. And I also, even though some people thought it was a little dark, I like how it opened. Where you're seeing Don Cornelius in his last moments of life, and then it makes you wonder, like, well, what got him to that point? And then by them going back and revisiting everything else, I'm like, okay, they're bringing it full circle. So I really like what I've seen so far. Like, I love even just the music being used, and that they're recreating some of the music. I think Kelly Rowland is doing a good job as Gladys. I'm anxious to see who else they're going to be bringing in as the other entertainers. They even had Honeycomb on there, which is a group that a lot of us never really knew, or heard much of. The only reason I knew Honeycomb is because Mary Mary sampled the One ads for their song Heaven. And that was I think they have another song. I think they actually used the song Stick Up in the movie. I think it was in there, or in the series. So, so far I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. I can't wait to see where the rest of this goes. And, I definitely think, like, man, listen, can we get we don't have to get another Soul Train, but I definitely think, and I've said this before in my R&B is Dead series, there's definitely a need for some kind of outlet that really celebrates black music. I know it's a different day and age because now you have the internet. People aren't forced to sit and wait for whatever else they're waiting for on TV anymore, but they're definitely, that void is missing right now, especially for black music, and especially with R&B. So yeah, but we'll see how this goes. So share your 2 cents. Most likely when this series is over, as far as all the episodes, I'll probably do a more extensive review, but there's only so much I can say. They've only done 2 episodes so far. But yeah, share your 2 cents. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.